There's a moment every entrepreneur hits. You're working harder than you ever have. The calendar is packed, but the inbox feels endless. That to-do list never gets shorter, and somehow the business still isn't growing the way that it should be. But the problem isn't effort. The problem is leverage. Welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I'm your host, John Davidson, and every week I'm sitting down with founders and top performers who have found that lever. The hire, the system, that mindset shift that changed everything. This show is for the business owner who's ready to stop being the bottleneck and start being the architect. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Leverage Podcast. I'm your host, John Davidson, and it is my pleasure to be joined by Landin Blake-Smith. He's a realtor from the Denver area. Landin, thank you for joining me today.
Absolutely, John. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It is August 24th, and out here in Dallas, we are breaking records with the heat, which is nothing to get excited about. What is the weather like in Denver today?
Believe it or not, we are too in Denver. It is crazy. We got another week of 90 degrees every day, which doesn't seem that hot for you guys probably, but that's hot for us. We've been pumping out 90-degree days and a few 100 plus days all summer long. So we're hoping for snow this winter so that we can fill up all the lakes and get the water that we need. But it was a light year of that last year. So we're hoping for a little change there.
Yeah, well, that typical beautiful weather in the outdoors are wonderful reasons, I should say, to buy a home in Denver. But, you being born and raised in the area and selling homes in the area, tell me what makes Denver a great place to buy a home?
Yeah, no, I was born in Littleton, born and raised, a little suburb right outside of Denver, about 15, 20 minutes away from downtown. And just love living here. It's the outdoors, right? That's what everyone thinks of when they come here is the Rocky Mountains. You've got the hog back. It's shaped like a hog's back. That's why like our first hills, everybody likes those because you can, sneak back there. And right where like Red Rocks Amphitheater is, the huge concert venue, you've got all kinds of trails back there and different canyons and valleys that open up back there. And it's just amazing. So you're 15 to 20 minutes away from a lot of different hikes and mountain biking everywhere, lots of trails. So if you're a hiker, biker, outdoors person, you just have to love what Colorado offers. And the best kept secret in the world is we have some of the best weather patterns ever. It's just it's an incredible place to live. When it snows, the sunshine just blasts it away. In like the next day or two, it'll be gone. Wow. So I've lived in other places where it snows in, November, and that same snow is on the ground in February or March because of like inversions and stuff like that. But we have 300 plus days of sunshine, more than Florida. Wow. And it's just, we are blessed to have really good weather, and our winters aren't as heavy as a lot of people think they are. So especially this last one was really light, but yeah, it's a great place to live climate-wise, and we have a great economy. So our business economy is fantastic. It's really diverse. Back in the 80s, we were just an oil and gas town, and then we've transitioned into being we've got a lot of healthcare, we've got tech, we've got a lot of retail that's very strong. We just have a very good diversity of different good money-making jobs that people are attracted to, and great companies that are here. And, and we've had a few go away recently, but we've had, a really good influx of, companies coming in from Silicon Valley and more expensive markets that have come here. And so it just kind of ebbs and flows like that, but an attractive job market and attractive downtown area sports scene. We're huge Broncos fans here. Yes. Right? We call it Broncos country. But just amazing teams with the Nuggets, the Avalanche, and then there's the Rockies too. But they're all great, and we enjoy going down to games and Broadway musicals. You just have everything downtown that you would want. Pretty much anything but a beach is what we have here in Colorado. So it's a good place.
But you can fly to one, and you don't have to pay to live on that beach, right?
That's true. That is true.
100%. So take me back, Landin. First of all, how long have you been in real estate now?
About 19 years. I started July of 2007 was when I got licensed. And my story was I started with my dad. My dad was a broker back then. And so I started on his team for summers. So I would go, 4 months here, sell 4 or 5 homes, and then head back to school, finish my degree at
That's pretty cool.
BYU. Yeah. So I did that 3 summers, and then I started full-time over there in Utah for about 2 years. And then 2012, New Year's Day, came back here and started full-time here in Denver, and have never looked back. So it's been great. And I've really enjoyed my real estate career. I haven't ever had thoughts of doing anything else. Once I got started, I loved it, and I've just kept going on this path.
Yeah. What was the difference there from, working those summers when you're, working for dad and then, stepping out on your own and doing it for yourself?
Big difference. Yeah, it's huge when you're an entrepreneur and you are running your business. There's a totally different mindset. And for me, I discovered a lot about myself when I was out there in Utah doing that for the first time. And I had a good start. I think I sold like 11 homes in my first 8 months. And then that next year I sold 22 homes. And so my business was starting to take off, and it was tempting to just stay there. But we ultimately decided, like, we really wanted to raise our family here. And I had I think when we moved back, I had just my daughter at the time. She was about 2.5 years old. And so we already had a family going, and we just really wanted to be close to my parents and family in the Denver area. And so that's why we ended up making the move back. But yeah, being on a team is great. There's probably a lot of people listening that may be on a team. And I think you have to know yourself very well, and maybe do like a disc profile, understand who you are. I discovered that for me, I was more excited about the growth of the business and running my own business than I was about doing the work, to be honest. And I love doing the work.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I love the business side of it. And that's ultimately what drove me to, be, start my own thing, and then turn that into a team eventually.
Yeah. So going through that, when you do jump out on your own and you're having success, and then you realize, wait a minute, I need a team, or I can either do a lot more with a team. What was it that really sparked that in you and said, it's time to build a team?
Yeah. So when I came back to Colorado, I jumped back on my dad's team to get my bearings here in Colorado again. And I was on my dad's team for about 3 years again. And that was after being a solo agent, kind of having that experience. So that was kind of tricky for me, because I felt like I was kind of giving away a little bit of freedom. And I love my dad. He's been my best mentor I've ever had, and just a huge support for me. We've always worked well together, but I think I learned when I was out there, I really liked the taste of that, being an entrepreneur and doing my own thing. And so 2015 was when I was doing 45 deals a year with no ability to create any leverage, right? Just based on the title of the podcast here. I better talk about that a little bit, because it was like,
we'll bring it up.
I was running out of time. I was at capacity, right? If you're doing 45 deals a year with no help, and we had an awesome assistant on our team that was helpful. So we did have some administrative help, but I just didn't have, the ability to have a buyer's agent go show houses for me or anything like that. It's hard to do that when you're on a team sometimes, unless you get really creative. And so, by stepping out and creating my own team, I was able to, that's when I knew if I could create more time for myself and duplicate my efforts, by having other team members work with me. And I had some ideas of how I wanted to run things and do things that I thought could be successful. And I was excited about those ideas, and that kind of, I guess, excitement, ambition, whatever you want to call it, led me to making that decision and leaving a really good situation income wise. I didn't have many expenses when I was on my dad's team. Life was pretty simple, other than I was working all the time because I was
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly. So I learned all about how much it costs to really run a team, and advertising, marketing expenses, and all of that obviously adds up. But it was worth the reward for me of, one, having an adventure of being a business owner, and two, I have a pretty high risk tolerance, so that was exciting for me. But then, the second piece of that was creating more leverage and having a higher yield return, and being able to create an operation where I could enjoy my life a little bit more and have, some time freedom that I really needed at the time. Because by then I had 3 kids, and then my oldest was starting to do activities. I wanted to coach her in basketball and do different things. So just a lot of family stuff that was coming up where I really needed something to support me, with that.
Yeah. So for those listening who are, in that place and they're saying, okay, I want to build a team, but I haven't done it, and, how can I learn from somebody who has?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the pieces of advice that you would share based on what you did right and maybe what we would do differently next time?
Yeah. I mean, I hired an assistant on day 1. So that was scary, right? I
Adding
had
that
income from
salary,
my
right?
previous team, but I had no income at that time as a solo agent. And my first step was to hire an administrative assistant that helped me out and did all of the tasks that were, 10 to at the time, right? Back when, salaries and stuff were a lot less. It was $10 to $25 per hour jobs, while I was out doing $200 to $300 per hour jobs is how I structured it in my mind. And so that was huge, to stop me from doing all of the things that would keep me very busy in the office without a whole lot of yield. So if you're going to grow, I think you have to try to have that person in place, even if it's 10 hours a week at the start, just having that right hire. And sometimes I can be a virtual assistant, in today's world, but back then that didn't really exist too much, or I wasn't aware of it. So I like having someone in the office though, that can create a listing presentation for me and have it ready on my desk, that same day, or that was just really valuable to me. So that was one thing that was huge. And then, I think meeting with other people, I met with my dad and asked him like, what makes a great agent, and a great individual agent? How are the top producers? What are they doing? And get mentors that are going to help you with that. And I've gone through all the big coaches. Like Brian Buffini was a huge mentor for me. At the beginning of my career, I was coached with Buffini. So I hired a coach and an assistant on day 1, which was also scary. So it's like a lot of expense, but
Where'd
really
the money come from?
Just past sales, right? But I believed in myself going forward, and I really bet on myself, as far as my ability to, or my belief in me to succeed, that was huge. And you got to have that. My dad always says like the number 1 attribute of a listing agent is confidence, self-confidence. You just have to believe in yourself a ton. And so, and that really helped me. And, I've worked with Verl Workman a lot over the years, Tom Ferry a lot over the years, and I've been coached by their coaches, for a few years each. And so I've really leaned on the high-powered coaches in the coaching world to help me and keep me on track, help me have a great business plan, and then stay focused on hitting it every year.
Yeah, that's great feedback. I'm curious, do you think, putting those liabilities on your business with the coaching costs and obviously your assistant, do you think that even propelled you forward even more so in a way, creating a barrier that you had to overcome and the scary challenge?
Absolutely. Yeah. It kind of leans you out over the mountain, right? Where you're looking at that going, okay, the clock is ticking, right? Every month I've got bills due, but I saw it also as an investment. You have to see it as an investment, not as a cost. Like you invest in the right people around you, you invest in the right coach, consultant around you to guide you and help you go in the right direction. And if it's not working, then you got to shift gears, and do something different. But I just, I believed in myself enough that I could make it happen, if I had the right setup and I created the right time arrangement for my schedule.
Yeah, that's great feedback. Well, speaking of investments rather than costs, let's pause for a message from our sponsor, Sphere Rocket.
Business owners and entrepreneurs will place a proven executive assistant VA for just $4 to $8 an hour, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Imagine freeing up 20 plus hours a week by someone handling your most time-consuming tasks like admin work, managing emails, scheduling meetings, and so much more. This one hire could transform your productivity and give you back the time you need to focus on growing your business. At Sphere Rocket VA, we make this possible in as little as 7 days. We'll place a proven executive assistant VA in your business for just $4 to $8 an hour, and your VA will take over day-to-day administrative tasks, help manage your email and calendar, follow up with past clients, giving you back 20 plus hours a week so you can increase your sales and even enjoy more personal time. And here's the best part. If they don't give you back 20 plus hours a week in the first month, you don't pay Sphere Rocket a dime. We've done this for thousands of business owners, and now it's your turn to see the results. Click the link around this video to schedule a demo and discover how this one hire can completely change how you run your business. Remember, if within 45 days the VA doesn't perform, you don't pay.
All right, we're back here with Landin Smith, and he's sharing all the wonderful amenities of living in the Denver area, as well as some incredible insights on a nearly 20-year career in real estate. Landin, thank you again for being with me here today. I know that you specialize in relocation to Denver. When people are moving to Denver and they're not working with you, what are some of the common mistakes or misconceptions that you see people moving into the area?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think people, especially people that don't have kids in the school system, they kind of underestimate like how important location is, because usually families that have kids in school, they want to know all about the schools, and that really determines their location. But you really want to be in a great location where you can have things around you that you want to frequent. That's going to be feels safe, feels like a good spot to be. And so I think that just coaching them through kind of the lay of the land and answering questions as far as that goes, I think is big. Obviously there's limits to what we can do there as licensed real estate agents, but I think that's an important one. I think sometimes people come from different areas that like have their attorney states, right? And so they're not used to working with a realtor, or so
Right.
there's just a lot of things that people also overestimate how much it snows here and that sort of thing too. So there's like area things that we coach people through on, but yeah, those are a few of those types of things.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that with us. Now, I know too that you have a communications and advertising background. How do those different skill sets and experiences, how have they positively impacted your real estate career and helping your clients?
Yeah, no, I had a good time at the BYU Ad Lab, and spent a lot of time there trying to figure out how to design things. And luckily with Remax, I mean, it's, we have so much of that already given to us, right? With our design center and the branding that they give us and everything. So we just click a button and it's already done. So a lot of it's like passed up, like in my degree in 2009, when I graduated. The world is so different than it is now. So, but the principles never change, right? Like all the communications classes I took of how important it is to stay in front of that communication, over communicate with clients. I think that's huge, so it's a lot of the principles stay, but the tactics have just completely changed in today's world.
Yeah, well, there's recently in the last few years, of course, the rise of all sorts of technology, especially AI. How do you see AI affecting real estate? Do you think this is something that is really going to have a big impact on the industry, or do you think that the majors will all be the majors and that time in person with the client is still going to be just as important as it always has been?
Yeah, I hope not. I think that it already has made such an impact in a lot of different industries, and I don't want to underestimate it because it's powerful and it's moving quickly and it's really good in a lot of ways. Also, I don't think that there's a complete replacement for any personal relationship that you have with a service provider that's going to help you through a 6 to 8 week transaction where there's a lot of hoops to go through and a lot of complication to it. And so I think that part, it's a great resource. Clients can they can find, what would Landin Smith say about this in Denver based on my YouTube channel? They could probably spot all of the things that I would probably say. right? And in a lot of ways without even talking to me. So it's crazy, right? The information that they can gather. But the actual doing of the work, the actual negotiating on a client's behalf, being their fiduciary, which we take very seriously, like that part, I don't think can be replaced, by a robot or a virtual agent or anything like that. So I think that we have more job security than a lot of the other professions that may be more commodity, based on their product line and the speed of the transaction. Like you call someone for insurance, you get insurance, and it's done. Like I said, real estate's a 6 to 10 week process, where you got a lot of different steps in the service, on the service side of real estate. So I think it's different in that aspect. So I think we're safe for now.
Well, you talk about the importance of location, and you have in-person experience throughout your life, really knowing this area. And it takes me back to those AI memes where I think I was like, why you don't learn how to rock climb by AI? It's like, oh, my mistake. You're right. You should put the fastener through the such and such.
Whoops.
Oh, there is a common avalanche on that mountain that you just bought a house at. No, but every time I speak with a successful agent, they're always talking about the time with the client and really building that rapport and learning their deep needs, right? To make sure they find the right place. And I don't think that'll ever change. Well, you mentioned your YouTube channel. I know you have a podcast as well. The podcast is titled Getting to Know Denver Podcast. So listeners, definitely tune into that. Tell us a little bit about what that podcast and what your YouTube channel is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So the podcast is great. I have my whole team on there. So we kind of take turns, with me and my teammates, and I've got 6 agents, plus me. And so it's a great chance for my agents to be able to be in the spotlight, and express, all the experience that they have. And then they have a great deal of experience. Each one of them is a little different, right? But it's great. We just have a conversation about different topics, best practices, for real estate, but also just like, hey, we did one recently. We had some of the leadership of 5280 magazine on, and we talked about the top neighborhoods in Denver and went down the list and highlighted a few of those. And that was a lot of fun. So a lot of good area info. And then on my YouTube channel, Living in South Denver. And that one is all about, it's more long form, usually 10 to 20 minute videos, just going over development that's going on in Denver, and really helpful for people relocating here, and also a lot of market update information to keep people up to speed with what's going on with our market here, what changes are happening, what seasonal changes to expect, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's been great, and I've had over 150 people reach out from my YouTube channel over the last year, from last July to this July. And we've helped a lot of them. It's turned into about a third of my business is coming from YouTube now. So
that's incredible.
It's just been awesome. It's such a great way to scale if you have a system, and you're consistent with it. So I can't say enough good things about that. And that's how we've been able to help so many relocating buyers that come out here.
Really cool. Sounds like something to benchmark for new agents, and also relevant for those looking to relocate, but also those native to the Denver area as well. So be sure to check out the Getting to Know Denver podcast, and tell us the name of your YouTube channel as well.
So it's Living in South Denver, and it's at Landin B-Smith is the handle. So LANDIN, B as in boy, Smith.
Fantastic. A few more questions here for you. I think I can guess who gave you the best advice about real estate in your career, but why don't you confirm that for me? What is the best advice you've been given about real estate, and who was it who gave it to you?
So I'll give my dad credit for connecting me with Brian Buffini right out the gate.
Okay. I was going to guess your dad.
So I'm gonna get something from Brian that he said, and you, if you've listened to Brian, you've heard him say this probably, but when he says that your database is your gold mine, that is the most true statement you'll ever hear in real estate. If you're just starting out, I mean, that's what you have to listen to. And that list of relationships that you communicate with, going through each of those, talking to them, helping them understand how your business works and like how referrals work within your business. is huge. Like that's just the most important thing that you can do, is keeping in touch with those people that you know, and then expanding your people that you know in your sphere of influence is big, and if you don't have a big tech heavy business, 70 to 75% of your business should be referrals and past clients and sphere. That's how you grow. So you have to start there. And as a young agent, there was an awesome agent in my office grabbed me, and she was like, I think she was like 32, something like that. So she was on the younger side of the business when I started. I was 22. And she just told me, she was like, hey, like, your gold mine is your relationships of helping them into their first condo, and then helping them in the next one and the next one and the next one. And you like continue to be their realtor for life, but you get them right now before anybody else gets them. Right. So you
good
have
point.
to rush when you're in your 20s to build those relationships strong, so that they don't even think about going anywhere else. They're going to you. And then once you work with them, then you wow them because you do a great job, and then they keep coming back to you. Like, that's how you build a successful business in real estate.
And what are those tips that you have to keep those clients, to maintain those relationships, to make sure people are staying with you beyond just that first purchase that they're making with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to me, I'm very relational. I love picking up the phone and talking to people. I know today we live in such a texting DM type world, and I think there's a time and a place for that too, the type of communication that you're doing. But just checking in and providing value, like telling them something that maybe they didn't know about the market, or just asking them, hey, how are you guys? It's been too long, like, tell me what's new with your life. Everybody loves to talk about themselves, and it's true. It's like everybody's favorite thing. Right. So just allow them to talk about themselves. That's really your only agenda on the call, is really be genuinely interested in them, and allow them to talk about themselves. And all of a sudden this magical thing happens where they like you. And once that happens, people want to work with their buddy, someone they like, and someone that they know is competent. Right.
That's right.
If you're competent and likable, you're going to do a ton of business in real estate. If you're consistent.
Don't overlook the competence.
Yes.
Part of it.
Right. You need to know what you're doing.
Big time.
But a lot of new agents are scared to start because they think that they need to learn all the technical side of things. And I love Buffini. Buffini's like, no, dude, 80% of relational reach out, and then 20% of your reach out should, or your time should be technical, learning technical stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate that feedback. It's great to talk about the successes. But I wish I learned more from my successes. I tend to learn from the failures. I don't know about you, but it seems like most of us do. What was a moment in your career that it really felt like a failure, but long term it turned out to teach you one of the best lessons you've learned throughout your career?
Yeah, easy. I overpriced my own house, and I did it twice. Both times that I've only sold 2 homes because I've of my own, right? Because I buy and hold properties for as long as I possibly can. Yeah. But I've only sold 2 homes. Both times I overpriced them, and I had to do a price reduction, and they sat longer than they needed to. And so what I learned from that is that the selling process is such an emotional process, right? It takes it, like, everybody's stressed. They're high strung. And you tend to get the worst out of people sometimes throughout that selling process, and you really see their true colors sometimes, but it's for a reason. It's because it's a very stressful thing to show your house over and over again with kids, with dogs, pets, you name it. And so, like, for me, selling my own house was the best training and the best experience I've ever had, because I really could empathize with clients better after doing that. And so that was a big one for me. And I realized how easy it is to overprice your home and what that feels like, and helping clients off of that ledge so that they can see, I know you think it's here. Let me tell you why it's right here. And if we do this, you're going to get some great results, And so I think that was great. I helped them understand what to expect more after that, helped them, set expectations, and then, deliver on promises better, because we kind of got that out of the way. So I really value that experience of selling my own house and screwing up twice.
Better to screw up your own than the clients, I would say. Yeah, I got great advice years ago. I sold my house, and I remember it was about around the peak of the market, and it was here in Dallas, and it was just beyond the peak. And so it was kind of that time where people were kind of testing,
Yeah.
can something sell? And so I had some neighbors that had some very high priced homes, and I was kind of thinking like, oh, I might be getting more for this than I thought. And thank God for my realtor who came in and she said, John, let me give you a dose of reality. You want to price it here. And she said, and I don't know the specifics, but she said basically, if this thing's on the market for longer than a month, then people are going to wonder why. Then you're going to have to bring it down. Then people are going to wonder why it got brought down. And some people even will take their house off the market, keep it off for a couple months, and then bring it back, right? So that they avoid those things. But yeah, don't be too optimistic with the pricing. Be realistic with the pricing to sell sooner than at the highest price that you hope you can get.
Absolutely.
Is that accurate?
Yep. No question.
Yeah. Well, I have a couple more questions for you here. And, you talked about the database, you talked about the pricing, of course, but if you were to go back to day one of starting in real estate, and you can take this with whether it's working with dad or working on your own, if you were to talk to your former self, what would be the best advice you would give yourself?
Yeah, great question. So I would say like the sweat equity in your business should be working on your database, right? It's just making those calls, connecting with people, doing all of that stuff. But if you're going to start on the tech side of a business, like video or organic SEO reach or website, anything like that, you have to be aligned with the right partner. And trying to do that on your own is just going to be, for me, it was just like 11 years in a row of failing with YouTube, like just over and over and over again, right? Trying to figure it out and crack the code. And it's so counterintuitive to what you think. And so if it's technical training, go to an expert, even if you have to pay a little bit more, go to an expert and figure that out and do that. If you truly want to start another leg of your business, but you need some check equity to do that, right? It takes money. And so the sweat equity is your database, just continuing with the constant communication, stacking effect of, all the Buffini stuff he talks about, calls, notes, Popeyes, client lunches, parties, get-togethers, all of that stuff, signing up for leagues, even if you don't, if you have time, extra time, then sign up for that, whatever it is, right? Hockey league, ballet class, whoever you are and what you love to do, sign up for stuff so that you're around more people. I've joined a BNI chapter that I'm a part of still, that I've been a part of for about 5 years now. That's been great as far as relationships go, business to business relationships. So there's just a lot of ways to be around people, and you have to find them as much as you possibly can, and then pay for the technical side assistance that you need to get to where you want to get to.
That's great advice. It's really good to know what you don't need to pay for and what you do need to pay for. So yeah, that technical partnership is something that is worth the investment there. Well, final question for you, Landon, and that is simply for those who are listening, who are thinking, boy, this guy really knows the area. I would certainly trust him whether I'm buying or selling. How can people get in touch with you to work with you?
Yeah, so I love just my personal cell phone. I'm a call, text kind of guy. So I just, I would love to leave my number here. And if anybody would like to chat, I'm happy to do that and do it that way. So I don't know if you want me to say it or if you
go right ahead.
So yeah, my cell is 303-990-2229. And definitely happy to chat, especially if you've got, someone in my market that's looking to buy or sell a place or look for an investment. We're never too busy and would love to help.
Absolutely. And I would add to that the YouTube and the podcast. The YouTube handle is Landin B-Smith on YouTube, and the podcast is Getting to Know the Denver Podcast. Landon, I really appreciate your insights and you sharing all you've learned over nearly 20 years of real estate in Denver with me today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, John. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me.